right? This Department of Justice now. If justice is so important to you, when Pam Bondi starts putting away people and starts
come on,
reporting,
Enrique, hold on. You want to talk about
this one out? Sorry.
You want to talk about Pam Bondi? They are deporting people without due process, and they're sending people to El Salvador because of tattoos.
They're sending them home. That is their home.
Really? Oh, so
they're
the guy
them home.
No.
That is a wife beater. And now you're going to advocate for a wife beater?
The Supreme Court, excuse me. What was he convicted of? You said he's a wife beater. What was he convicted of, since you care so more about being fair? What was this man in Maryland convicted of, Enrique? Can you please answer that?
Did you see?
No.
Wait, hold on a second.
Don't ask me what I saw.
His wife had to say, why does his wife pull out a protective order against him? Why did he say that he's not MS-13 when he clearly has it printed on his arm? I was in prison with members of MS-13. That's exactly how they push it.
You're doing exactly what you don't want other people to do. I'm asking you.
Now, are you advocating against the Department of Justice?
I am advocating for everyone.
Department of Justice.
I'm telling you what I'm advocating for. I am advocating for due process for everyone. And you just said he beats women.
I'm asking deportation order.
I'm asking you a very direct question, or you can retract. Has he ever been convicted of a violent crime?
He's a member of MS-13 and
didn't ask you that. You just said he was
illegally. He should have been deported. He shouldn't have even been in the country to begin with. He got pulled over for suspicion of murder.
Enrique,
I just put that on my Twitter. Go to my Twitter feed and look at the police.
I don't care what's on your Twitter feed. I'm asking you a very direct question. What has he been convicted of? What are the charges, and what has he been convicted of? Do you know the answer?
Illegally. I don't understand how that's hard.
Okay,
he doesn't have to be convicted of anything.
Hold on. Let's go with that for a moment.
He's not convicted of anything. He's here illegally. He needs to be deported.
All right, fair enough. So you just prove that he hasn't been convicted of anything. He's not a wife beater because it hasn't been proven. So you were wrong there. Number two, are you saying that if you're an undocumented immigrant in this country,
illegal?
Hold on. You can say illegal. I'll say undocumented, here nor there. Okay. You're saying you're okay with that.
The United States is illegal.
You're saying that person, you're okay with sending them to the most dangerous and one of the most highest maximum security prisons in El Salvador with no due process. If they're a non-violent criminal, which he's a non-violent criminal who might have been undocumented.
He's a member of MS-13.
Then why did the Supreme Court?
He has it on his tattoo. I've been to prison, bro. I know that.
Okay, well, let me ask you another question. Since you care so much about who's on a jury, let's talk about the Supreme Court, which last I checked is not made up of a bunch of far-left wackadoodles. Why did the Supreme Court rule 9-0? Why did the Supreme Court rule 9-0? A bunch of conservatives, by the way, saying that he should come back. Should we defy the Supreme Court?
Now you're advocating for the Supreme Court, right? So everything changes when it doesn't suit your needs. You think that why is this zooming in on me?
The Supreme Court ruled 9-0. The Supreme Court ruled 9-0. I am advocating to respect the rule of law and respect our courts. The highest court in the land ruled against your guy 9-0. So no matter what you think or what I think, they ruled Donald Trump send this guy back. He's not a wife beater. He's a non-violent criminal. Is he undocumented?
He's an MS-13 member, dude.
That is not proven. And where is that been proven?
It is here and there. He's here illegally. When you cross the border, and you're here illegally, you should be deported. There is no due process. Due process isn't
not true.
Not true.
In order for hold on a second. This is so important because you guys talk about the Constitution all the time. It does not.
The Constitution when it came to January 6ers. You advocated for the Department of Justice. Now, when it didn't fit your needs, right?
What do you mean?
Now, when it doesn't fit your needs, now you're on the side of
my needs.
You're against the Department of Justice.
I got proof that you got due process. The court recordings. Just read them.
Enrique, the Supreme Court ruled 9-0, just like a court of law said that you were guilty of seditious conspiracy. Now, Donald Trump pardoned you. I disagree with Donald Trump pardoning a bunch of people on January 6th. I don't agree with it. However, a court did rule that you were guilty, and there is no evidence to prove that this guy was a gang member. Now, you can claim
on his tattoos, bro. Marijuana, a marijuana plant.
Not true.
Dude. A skull, that's an S. The cross, the backward cross is a 1.
Okay.
Dude, it is there. It is there. I was in prison with MS-13 members. How are you going to tell me?
Just because you have a tattoo, it still needs to be proven in a court of law. It's why we have something called due process. But I find it interesting that all of you guys got due process. You can disagree with the outcome, but you don't want this guy to have due process. And you said he's a wife beater. He's never been convicted of a violent crime in his life. Period.
Well, when his wife was put on the spot in a recent interview and was asked, why did you put this protective order? Why didn't she answer and say, I didn't put this protective order?
Listen, we can get into the weeds about this.
Why did she hide his tattoos?
We obviously agree to disagree, Enrique.